Hello there once again. Back here, 2008 FLHRC Road King Classic. I took a few days to play around with some of the diamond cuttings that I've been doing to the heads and the jugs and the shifter linkage and the oil filter. Well, enough of that. I'll do a video of that later on. Well, I'm pretty excited. I'm getting closer and closer each day to, I get to these parts and things maybe a few hours out of the day. After all, I do have to work and make some money. And one of the things that I've been getting to is the, decarbonization or the removal of carbs, the carb buildup on top of the pistons. This is how it turned out. Now, this has been sitting in plain old kerosene. I did some research, and apparently kerosene does not damage aluminum, and it does not damage a lot of the things, a lot of components in your engine. And some old timers and some hardcore mechanics, they use kerosene as an oil flush, an engine flush. And sure enough, they fill it in, they let it run, and then they flush it out. So this was caked on. This has been sitting in kerosene, pure kerosene, for about, 4 hours. Look at how dirty that is. This has been caked on. This, you could not see any of the metal. And that's from approximately 19,000 miles. Keep in mind, this Road King I purchased it used, so I don't know what's the past history. I don't know the medical history of it. I don't know if it's been abused, if it's been babied, if it's been well maintenance, or I don't know anything about it. So that's one of the reasons to tear it down, because if I'm going to be riding it, and if I'm going to have my wife on it, I want to make sure it's good. We're not going to get stranded. I want to make sure that it's not going to break down, or that we're not going to kill ourselves because of a mechanical issue. So if you could see, the kerosene will eventually get to the carbon buildup. It will eventually break it down. It won't break it down to the point where it'll remove the thick crust, but it won't remove that brown here. Let me see, this brown tinting. It won't remove it. So in order for you to remove that brown tinting there, the brown burnt, out of the aluminum, you're gonna have to go and get, and I was lucky enough to find this one only piece of sandpaper, 1500 wet dry gray wet dry sandpaper. And I took it to task, and I was rubbing in circles, trying not to gouge it like I did. As you can see here, I have some deep, they're not deep, but they're noticeable scratches. And that was from me previous to the kerosene. I was jabbing it with a screwdriver, see if it came up. So lesson learned, let it sit in kerosene or a solvent. I've read, like, for instance, Easy Off oven cleaner. But you know what? That shit it's toxic. It burns your lungs. It burns your fingers. If you're not careful, it might even burn through the through the aluminum. So give it some time. Let it soak. Let it come up. See, this isn't bad. I'm doing a little bit of, not elbow grease, finger grease. And before you know it, it'll be nice and clean. You see, this is a nice technique here. Just a flat razor. Make sure not to gouge into the aluminum. Make sure not to damage the rings. Oh, after you've done the wet sanding with 1500 sandpaper, you're gonna have to wash it with dish soap. I use Dawn. It's real good with oils, and I use this a brush, a plastic brush in between the rings here, and you pretty much wash it and you rinse it very well, and then I blew compressed air in between the rings. Make sure there's nothing behind or inside the rings there. So just a word of a recommendation. You could obviously do whatever you feel will work for you, but if you're watching these videos, I imagine that you're trying to get an idea also. Like pretty much everyone else that watches videos here, they're trying to come up with ideas how to do things easily. And as you can see, I'm almost done with this. I guess that 4 hours of sitting in that kerosene did enough to get underneath and help me. It's helping me pry it loose here. I might even be able to do the if I don't run out of time here. Yeah, and I know you're supposed to use gloves. You know, we're all gonna die of something sooner or later. There you go. Was that easy or what? Sorry. Okay, and then in circles. Now obviously I can't really press too hard because I've got the my cell phone in one hand and trying to do circle patterns here. Wax on, wax off, wax on. I like the wax on technique. Going wax off makes me think that you're in Europe or something, or in South America. Yeah, I like the wax on technique better. Look at that. See how easy that is? I'm not even pressing. I'm not really pressing all that hard. Now keep in mind, don't go too coarse of a grit on your sandpaper, because you will run out. You will scrub out. You will sand down the serial number and the arrow, the directional arrow that it has. It shows which side, how it's supposed to go. If you don't know, the arrow tells you it's supposed to face forward, front. And this one here is my front piston. And would you look at that? No, hardly any finger grease or elbow grease. I'm just massaging it. Just massaging it so slightly. And you know you're getting to the aluminum because the schmoo becomes black, a real dark charcoal black. All right, let's see what happened. Now let's do a rinse. Would you look at that? By golly, that is so easy. You're gonna have to take some time and do the inside there, would you? That is nice. And that was quick. Nice and easy. I'm gonna sit there for a little while. I'm gonna make sure it penetrates. And obviously when you install these, do the service manual and see where the gaps to the rings are supposed to be, where they're supposed to be located. Make sure they don't line up one above the other, because then you'll have leaks. It's a whole science to it, from what Harley says and from what people that build engines say. Make sure the gaps don't line up on the rings. Okay? Hope this helps. Keep you posted.